Una, dos, tres. Tanya, thank you so much for joining us today. I promise you, we were just saying good things, nice things about you, and you just told me you have some um, you talk or you have learned Spanish in the past, so maybe you catch some things in
A
there.
little bit. I'll catch a word here and there and kind of get the general theme, but
That's
I'm the more useless person here as far as being bilingual people.
okay. So for first of all, for the people that doesn't know you yet and are probably quite impressed, but by that big bicep you have in there, could you give us a introduction of yourself, who you are, what do you for a living, and maybe how you got started with all this fitness, bodybuilding stuff?
Yeah, so my name is Tanya Miller. I have a coaching company called Blunt Force Performance Consulting. So I do mostly online coaching. I also do a little bit of in-person training at Body Evolution Gym here in Columbus, Georgia. I'm a trainer there, and I also work there as staff. So what I do for a living is it's split between working shifts there and also coaching on the side. I call that on the side, but it does. My intention is to bring that to my main income. I want that to be what I support myself off of. So I'm just building my business right now. I got a good little group of clients right now. I'm just doing the best I can with them and trying to move that forward with leads I get in the gym, people I train in the gym who I convert over to online coaching so that I'll ultimately have a full roster that I can kind of go everywhere with. But I have been training and bodybuilding myself for a little over 12 years now. So I started when I was in my early 20s. I wish I would have started earlier, but started when I was in my early 20s. And I didn't really know. I mean, I knew what bodybuilding was. I knew it existed, but I never really saw what female bodybuilding was like until actually Tumblr was where I discovered bodybuilding like as a lifestyle thing and other girls who did bodybuilding. And I was like, oh, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I've been trying to do with fitness. So, and it evolved from there. I got more interested in bodybuilding. I was also interested in powerlifting. I did the power building thing when that was popular. I did that for years actually until I burned myself out with it. So I was interested in, all the strength sports and everything. I did a little bit of Olympic lifting too, and it's probably a good thing I didn't continue doing that because I'm actually hypermobile. I came to find out years after that. So probably would have been the best choice. But yeah, so I trained from 2012 2013 and literally never stopped. Like we were talking about before we started recording is that element of obsession. Like I'm like either on or off with things. That's why I don't have hobbies. I don't have other stuff that I don't dabble in things, right? It's either put everything into it and become 100% obsessed with it, or I just don't even bother with it. So ever since 2012, 2013, I've been lifting, been tracking my food, been doing everything not necessarily right, but been doing it to the best of what I thought was right for all of those years. And I think the biggest mistake I made was trying to be lean all the time. It's usually what girls kind of fall into. I fell for the body recomp thing, which was just dieting all the time and having a refeed every couple of weeks and thinking that that was the same as recomping. So I ended up getting really, really small for way too long. I was lean for too long. I destroyed my endocrine system and now I'm on HRT because of it. So don't do that. Eat enough. And around that time is also where I came to terms with the fact that I wanted to put everything into bodybuilding and I wanted to completely get rid of the powerlifting stuff that I was kind of dabbling in because some athletes who are really genetically gifted can be excellent at both. But if you're not, you really have to choose one and prioritize it if you want to take it as far as you can take it, right? Like you can do both if you don't want to be excellent at either one and you just kind of want to be pretty good at both. You can do that. I have a lot of clients who do that actually. That's a really common goal. But if you want to be the best bodybuilder or the best powerlifter or the best anything that you want to be, really got to just focus all your resources on that. So around 2018, 19, I decided that I wasn't going to do the powerlifting stuff anymore. I was just going to focus 100% on bodybuilding. that is also where my physiology just completely broke down because I had been lean for so long and not eating enough. I had lost my period for years at that point, and I knew that I needed somebody to make me gain weight and do it right. So 2013 or 2019, sorry, was when I hired Alberto Nunez. He's been my coach ever since, and I told him I do want to compete. I want to take this as far as I can, but I'm not interested in doing it until I belong up there because I've wasted enough time already. I wasted all of my 20s not doing it as well as I could have because I was misinformed and because the wrong information was really popular at the time. So now I want to spend all my time growing in the ways I wasn't growing before so that when I go up on stage, I look like I belong there. Not interested in wasting time just for experience. I know that's valuable, but I'm 33. I'm not 23. So time is not on my side, right? And if I want to eventually get a pro card and be competitive, like I have to actually put the time in on the front end to grow and be big enough for stage. So that's my main focus right now is just I've made a lot of progress. I've made the most progress I ever have over the past couple of years. And we actually have a show date picked out now. We're aiming for the Tri-City Classic here in Columbus next spring. So I am just under a year out from my first show, surprisingly. Like a lot of people are surprised it's my first show, but it's like I wanted to do it right. And I'm not bodybuilding to compete. Competing to me is like putting your art in an art show. Like you don't become an artist to go to an art show and put your art in it. You're just an artist. And then when you have something you're proud of, you put it in an art show and see how it fares, right? So yeah, so now I'm more centered into a place in my life where I want to be than I ever have been. I'm certainly not where I want to be. I'm not to a point where I can support myself fully off of coaching. I'm not to a point where I'm competitive on stage yet, but I'm closer to that than I've ever been. And I am at least focusing on bodybuilding and everything fitness and nutrition and health and things like that. That's what I'm focusing on every day, even when it comes to what I do to make money. Even working at the gym, like that's still in the bodybuilding world because, I work at a hardcore gym. I don't work at like a Planet Fitness. So it's like, it's the right community there. So, yeah, I'm not as prosperous as I would like to be yet. I don't have 10,000 followers yet. I don't have 30 or 40 clients yet, but I'm on the way to that and I'm closer than I've ever been. So
You already answered like 5, 6 questions I had.
and I didn't even get into like the college and all that stuff. So we can talk about
Yeah,
that.
but it's super 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 interesting. So let me think. Where do I want to take this? But coming back to what you said, being obsessed, I think that's a word that has like more negative connotation. That what sorry, here's something that pop up on my screen. Yeah, that has a negative connotation for most people, but it doesn't have to be that way. I think people are afraid of what it's not usual, what's not normal.
Mhm.
And let's be honest, it's not normal for someone to be so uh, determined. What's the word?
Determinate.
Determined. Yeah. Like this is what I want to do, and I don't have any other distractions. I'm 100% sure that this is what I want to dedicate like my life or most of my life. So I think that's scary for some people, like knowing someone that's so sure, so
Mhm.
assertive. But as I told you before recording, I relate so much to that, and I think that's important. Something that I remember you wrote on a post was that you told Berto that you didn't want to compete like for the experience to know if you like it or not. It's like pretty clear that you
Mhm.
like it even if you haven't stepped on the stage yet. Like you dedicate all
Right.
your life to that. You train clients. You have like build your life around being like the best bodybuilder you can be, being the best bodybuilder coach you can be.
Mhm.
So you're so sure you don't need, you're not afraid gonna be like a waste of time to dedicate like all these years behind to build your
Mm.
physique to grow, because we know, I know you're gonna, you would like to compete in figure, and I think you have had that very clear since the very beginning. And for
Mm.
the people who doesn't know, figure is like the symmetry category, the one that it's like the name comes from that, like a figure, like a figure action.
Yes.
So building that physique, even if you have already the frame, isn't easy at all. Takes a lot of years.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really valuable for people to hear that it's okay to not want to do like the other um the other path of, yeah, I want to compete, but I don't, for example, I want to compete in bodybuilding, and I'm like the same as you. I don't want to go through first, I didn't want to go to first bikini, and then like I don't like
Yeah.
I'm not
Like
interested.
no shade towards bikini competitors or wellness competitors or anything. Like they're beautiful. That's great. I love that for them, but that is not my vibe.
Yeah,
Like, and I don't like, and with bikini, like I don't want to be that small. Like I want to be a little bit bigger. I like the figure physique. Like, I mean, I think I would say I prefer a lot of the more streamlined, a little bit smaller pro figure physiques. I don't like how some of them have really pushed the size. Like, looks a lot like physique girls on stage, but what figure is supposed to be, I love it. I think it's the most perfect blend of masculine and feminine energy. I think. I think it's the most, in my opinion, I think it's the most beautiful, appealing female class, and that's why it always appealed to me so much.
I like figure. The only reason I wouldn't do figure is because I hate walking in heels.
Hmm.
That's
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 where
a
I got
pretty bad
lucky.
reason, but that's my
Yeah,
my only reason. If I could skip the heels, like I
yeah,
like posing in
yeah.
figure.
That's a
Uh,
very, very common struggle. I got lucky, and I don't know why, but I'm just naturally really good at walking in heels. I don't know why. Like, I don't do it a lot. I've never done it a lot. I've only done it a few times in my life on special occasions. But I seem to be okay walking in heels, so that doesn't really seem to be something that holds me back. So I'm really grateful for that because I know most girls have to practice that a lot. So I'm
yeah,
glad I don't have that struggle.
and I also think that someone that a woman that does pretty well in figure could easily cross to the other divisions, like fit body, for example, in WNBF or
Mhm.
uh, women's bodybuilding,
Yeah.
because those muscles, like the delts, the cap delts, the sweepy quads, the
Mhm.
back, those are the muscles that are most valuable in almost like any division in bodybuilding.
Mhm.
And it's only like the posing the posing is pretty important. I'm sure that if you do a side chest or a lat spread, it's gonna look like so impressive, right?
Yeah, there are certainly athletes who, especially female athletes, who can cross over and do multiple divisions in the same show, and it's just a difference in posing for sure.
And you said that you think in the past 2 years is where you have made most of your progress. So because I know it's not only like one factor, I'm sure
Mhm.
there's plenty. So what do you attribute that successful phase for you?
So first and foremost has just been the last 6 years, because it's been the last 6 years since I've been with Berto, has been mostly spent in a caloric surplus. Like it's been maybe one diet per year, but most of it has been in a surplus, growing because that's what I needed. And you know, for the first couple of times, the first 2 or 3 times we went through a building phase, I hated how I looked, but I knew that that's what was gonna happen. Like, you have to have a certain level of muscularity before you're going to look like you lift in the off season, right? Like, the first couple of times I just looked like I didn't even lift. I looked like maybe I went to the gym and maybe I was strong, but there was so much fat in comparison to muscle, but you need that layer on top to make you healthy enough to grow, especially if you like, I'm not a naturally lean person at all. Like, if I didn't train, didn't monitor my food, I'm just naturally pretty chunky, just like skinny fat and chunky, right? So that's my natural baseline. So I had to put on a lot of lean mass to change that. And now finally, even at my highest body weight, I can still see a lot of definition and a lot of separation. I can still see the figure shape. I can see my shoulders, my quads. But that took so many years of growing and of being okay with being uncomfortable with how I looked in those growing phases, and even being kind of disappointed when I cut down because I still, like, I had more muscle, but still not enough to really look like the prototype, is what I call it. Like, I wanted to eventually be able to see the figure prototype. And it took several phases of that rinsing and repeating, putting weight on, taking weight off, before there was finally enough of a foundation there to, like, oh yeah, you look like a bodybuilder. And it has only been in the last couple of years that I could look at myself and say that. And that's after 12 years of training. Like, I've been with Berto for 6 years, but I've been training for 12 years. So when people see photos from a few years ago, like, they think it's when I just started. Like, no, I had been training for 8 years when I took this picture. And I looked like I didn't train at all, you know? It just takes a long time. So the biggest thing is just that, is that compounded effect of years and years of doing it right and putting on the muscle and getting all of the basics really, really locked in. Like, like, my discipline has never been a weakness for me. Like I said, that obsessive thing, it's like, if I'm going to do something, I don't see any point in doing it if I'm not going to do everything as well as I can. Because otherwise, why am I doing it? That's just how my brain works. So, and especially when it's something I want as much as I want this. So it's just been a matter of being incredibly consistent, and that just building up over time. And of course, having the right coach, you know, every year after year that you have the same coach, they know more about you. They've mastered your physiology a little bit more. They know how to predict what's going to happen. And that's something, a mistake a lot of people make, is only getting with a coach when they want to do a prep. And it's like, this coach knows nothing about you. They don't know how your body works. They don't know anything about you, and you think that you're going to have a good prep with a stranger, you know? And then lastly, so Berto does coach me, but I am not a team 3DMJ athlete anymore because I'm no longer natural.
Mm.
So I became enhanced a little over a year ago. And basically, that was something I always knew was a possibility that I was going to do. So I always educated myself on it. I was learning about intelligent use of PEDs for years before I even approached the topic, because I knew, with my mindset and how dedicated I was, that it was something that was probably going to be on the table for me later if I needed it. So I wanted to, by the time I got to that point, I wanted to know that I was going to do it right, and I wanted to be educated on it. So thankfully, when I brought that up to Berto, and I was like, if I choose to do this, because I had a lot of, I've mentored under Broderick Chavez and Team Evil GSP, and I've paid attention to a lot of other people, and I have a lot of peers around me that I can go to and ask guidance for. So he knows that, and he trusts me with that. So I said, if I choose to do this with, I'll handle it on my own and guidance from my peers and everything. Do we have to part ways? Because I really don't want that to be the case. And thankfully he said no. He was like, you won't be under the Team 3DMJ umbrella anymore. But I will still coach you. So he's still coaching me on a personal basis. He's still my coach. I still pay my old rate and everything. I'm just not a Team 3DMJ athlete anymore, because that wouldn't be ethical, because that's their whole thing. So that obviously is a big contributing factor to the progress over the last couple of years. But I do want to emphasize, I would not have made those changes with the addition of those drugs if I didn't have those 10 years behind me of doing it right, and if I didn't have all of my foundations 100% locked in when I did
This already got like 100% more interesting. I didn't
it.
know. I didn't know that, to be honest.
Yeah, and
But
like also, like, the thing that kind of like pushed me even closer to making the decision was when I got on HRT, because I needed to get on HRT. I didn't have a period for 7 years. I haven't had a period since 2015, and that's my own doing, because I starved myself for too long. It didn't help I was on birth control when I was a teenager, and then again in my 20s. It didn't help that I had an eating disorder when I was in high school. I was 92 pounds in 10th grade, and that's not my natural weight. My natural resting weight is like 130. So I starved myself down to 92 pounds when I was in high school, lost my period then too, so that didn't help. And their solution was to put me on birth control, because that's what they do. Like, they didn't even ask. They didn't even ask, are you eating enough? They didn't ask anything. They just said, here's birth control, so now you'll have a bleed. So I was on birth control for 5 years, still didn't have a period. So I didn't give my body enough time or opportunity to even establish a healthy hormonal cycle. So it was my own doing. I knocked my own hormonal cycle out. I knocked my own thyroid out too. I was probably hypothyroid for a long time and nobody ever noticed
Yeah.
because the reference ranges for thyroid labs are way too wide.
Yeah.
5.8 is not an acceptable upper reference range for TSH. And I know this is getting into the weeds, but like I get into the lab work weeds and everything with my clients and everything too, because I've had to dig into that so much to solve my own problems. Like I would not be where I was now if I only depended on doctors and I did not take it into my own hands and advocate for myself. I didn't, it took years, it took 7 years to finally get them to send me to an endocrinologist and actually get it fixed. And then my endocrinologist was like, your TSH is over 5. This is not okay. Like I had been hypothyroid for who knows how long. And, you know, that kind of put together so many pieces of why I had been struggling and why I looked like I don't even train after 6 years. So in, I believe, 2021 or 22 was when I finally got on HRT. And I'm on all three: testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone, as well as thyroid replacement, because all of them were bottomed out. Actually, the testosterone was the least bottomed out. So I need very, very little of that when I'm just on TRT dose. Very, very little of that, but then a good amount of estrogen and progesterone. So once you get on HRT, you can't compete naturally anymore anyway, ever, which I have my own opinions about that, but I wouldn't be able to compete naturally ever anyway. So it's like, okay, now my only two options are to just stay on HRT and try to compete in the NPC and IFBB. Like that's going to go well. or just or just start intelligently using PEDs like I'm probably going to eventually do anyway, and actually get to where I want to get and get the result that I feel like I deserve after 12 years of working.
Oh, this is yeah. This is like there are so many things that I'm thinking right now. First of all, one of the reasons I admire you so much and that I think I relate a lot with you is because myself, when I was, I don't know, like 20 years or so, 20 years old,
Mhm.
something like that. Long story short, I so many problems within my family and stuff, and I'm small. I'm in inches and well in the English system I'm 5'2", so I'm
Me
not
too.
so. Oh yeah,
Yeah, I'm
didn't
5'2".
yeah, I thought you were way taller, but
No,
okay.
no, I'm little.
I went all the way like from 50 kg, like around 110, 112 pounds,
Mhm.
all the way to 40 kg. Like I lost 10 kg in like 2, 3 months
Right.
because I was like depressed, also not eating.
Mhm.
I stopped training, I stopped lifting, so I lost all my muscle.
Yeah.
And took me around like I didn't have a period like the as long as you said, like
Mhm.
7 years or so.
Yeah.
And I kept training, like even if I got back to my previous body weight, my period didn't return because I was still like being more focused on not going like above a certain range that I imposed
Mhm.
myself.
Yeah.
uh, so I wasn't eating enough. I was doing
Yeah.
like too much, and not intelligently. So the effort was there, but not in a strategic manner.
I did a
Uh,
really similar thing. Yeah, go ahead and finish, but I did a similar thing I'll tell you about.
yeah, and I was coached by Jacob Escapis from JPS, which
Yep.
I think you may know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and since then, like that was like 2018. I
Mhm.
wanted to compete, and he told me, "Yeah, but bikini," and I was like, "No, I don't wanna. I don't wanna do bikini." But
Mhm.
I didn't have like the muscle to do anything else.
Mhm.
Uh, and and even if he put me into like gaining phases, I didn't look how I didn't like how I looked,
Mhm.
because like you said, it's not in the first gaining phase that you start looking like you lift in clothes or without clothes. You look soft, you look blurry.
Mhm.
So I
It's
think
just like when you first start saving money, it doesn't mean you're gonna be rich next month.
exactly that. And so there were so many years when I was training, I wasn't doing anything to solve that issue because I knew it wasn't okay for me to not to have a period for that long.
Yep.
Um, but when I got the opportunity to go to Melbourne and attend to the one of the um, like this event they have where they bring like
Yeah, like they do, like it's like a
high
big
tier
workshop
level.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So there I met women that were trained by Jacob or other coaches at JPS. They were like muscular, they were eating plenty, and I was like, I want that. So
Mhm.
then I came back to Mexico and do the opposite and started eating a lot and
Mhm.
um, got all the way to 53 kg. Like it wasn't that much, like 4 kilograms, but like in
Yeah.
4 or 5 months, which it's probably not advisable either. But fortunately for me, I did get my period back, and it has been like regular since then, and I'm okay because the other option was the one that the doctors put you in. Like when I because I went to some doctors like endocrinologists and gynecologists.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were like the same. Yeah, you need to go on the pill, and I was like, no, I knew
I
like
hate gynecologists. I'm just gonna say it.
yeah
Like, unless you need a pap smear, like get an endocrinologist because gynecologists,
yeah
maybe some personally do because they want to know about it, but gynecologists as a rule don't know anything about hormones at all. At all. Like gynecologists never gave me any help except, well, I don't know, take birth control. We don't know why your hormones are like this. What
yeah.
do you mean?
I know, and I knew deep inside that what I needed to do was start to eating enough and stop doing like so much activity because I used to do a lot of cardio and stuff. So
Yeah.
that's for me to hear that side of the story because I didn't know that
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense, and I'm sure there are plenty of women that are going through the same. So I think this is a really valuable conversation. And now on the other side of the enhanced and that decision that you made, uh, I think it makes sense because you want to be like the best bodybuilder you can be.
Yeah.
And as you said, in like taking HRT, you can't compete like for example in WMBF, which is
Mhm.
in my opinion like the biggest and most serious
Yeah.
organization in natural bodybuilding.
Mhm.
Um, and then you will have to go to NPC. But if you're in HRT and you're gonna because you want to compete in figure. Maybe if you wanted to compete in bikini, yeah,
Mhm.
probably. No, you
Yeah.
can be like more competitive being a bikini athlete and just
Mhm.
being in HRT.
Mhm.
But figure is like the level is
Mhm.
there's no way, I think.
No, no, 100%
Or what
no.
I
Not unless you're very genetically blessed. Like there are some girls right now who are amateurs in figure who are close to getting their pro card and say that they're natural, and they very may well be. Like there's no way you can say for sure. You can't even say for sure by blood work. I don't care what anybody says. That's not a valid test for whether or not someone is natural. But there are some girls, I mean, even Sydney Gillen, who won however many Miss Olympias
age, I
in
think.
figure,
Yeah.
she evidently takes very, very little, like almost nothing. That is what I've heard. I don't know if that's true or not, but I mean, it makes sense because she was a track athlete all of her life. She obviously has great genetics. Her shape is amazing. She has that tiny little waist. So, like, the one in a million genetic phenom might be able to do it. I'm
Mhm.
not a genetic phenom. I have a good shape for figure, but beyond like it takes more than just shape, right? Like you still have to have the development, the fullness, the conditioning, and if you don't genetically have that, like it's not going to be enough.
But something that you said that I think it's really important is you said yeah, the using PEDs is gonna accelerate like the process, but
Mhm.
the physiology is the same.
100%, and that's what people
And
don't get. Like, they think that it makes you something completely different, or they think that it just
you're not a human.
magically does all the work for you, but it's called a performance enhancing drug. There has to be performance to enhance. So no, nobody is like everyone, all these top bodybuilders that people admire on the IFBB stage and who do drugs, none of them are lazy. None of them are letting the drugs make up for not doing the work. They are all working hard as hell. Like 80% of common gym goers in any commercial gym are on PEDs. Like that is a surveyed anonymous fact. You would never know because they don't look like it, because you have to have all
Uh,
the other pieces. You have to have all the other elements of bodybuilding still apply, and arguably apply even more when you enhance it with nitrous, right?
yes.
It's like putting, I always describe it, I like to use the car analogy. It's like putting nitrous in a beater car. You might make it a little faster, but it's not going to turn it into a performance car.
Yeah.
And you have to have all of those. It's especially men, it's not so much women, but I especially have a lot of men come to me for drug advice, and I'm like, well, what's your lifestyle like? And it's trash. And they've never gotten blood work. It's like, what are you doing? Like, you can't just throw these magical beans on top of it and think it's just going to fix all your problems. You know, you have to have that foundation. Otherwise, you're just getting all the negative side effects and not nearly as many of the positive side effects, because you're not giving it the infrastructure to do its work. Because what PEDs do is it takes the governor off of your genetic cap, because our bodies have a biological cap of what it's going to let you do with it for survival, because we're not supposed to be a certain level of muscularity and a certain level of leanness and be able to survive that long term, because our bodies can't support it. And that's why most bodybuilder deaths happen in like the bigger bodybuilding classes. It's not directly the drugs themselves most of the time, unless it's diuretics or something like that. It's just that compounded effect of being past what your genetics allow for too long, and the body just can't sustain it. It's the same reason big dogs don't live as long as small dogs.
Yeah.
It's
That-
too much stress on the body over time, right? So yeah, it's, you have to be judicious and budget out your time that you're going to spend exposed to these things. So if you start when you're 22 and you still have 10 years worth of natural growth, and you don't even have all your foundations mastered, you're not even really tracking your food, you're not training consistently, you're not sleeping enough, you're drinking every weekend, like, you could get those things in line and do it naturally and actually have everything right for years first, get that progress. And then when you add that nitrous, it's going to spring forward because you're already primed to keep going. It's going to take that governor off, and you're going to be able to do more than your genes would have otherwise allowed. So it's still genetic. Like, PEDs aren't going to take somebody past their genetic potential. It's just going to raise your genetic potential, but it's still your genetics. It's still your DNA that is copying. It's still going to be your muscle shape. It's still going to be your tendency to lose or gain fat. It's just enhanced.
yeah, I think it's also like the way I think about it is, for example, with money, like financial stuff. Like if someone said let's think, if someone wins the lottery and it's someone that has never uh pay attention to what their earnings are and their savings, it's just a matter of time that that money is gonna
100%.
appear like
I
so
say that all the time to people who are like, man, I wish I would win the lottery. No, you don't.
no, you can't do anything with that. Like it's gonna be useless. But if
Yeah.
you're someone that it's more savvy in that sense, that's more methodological. Yeah. Well, it has,
Methodological.
yeah, methodical. More strategy behind it, has a purpose, and really wants to do something with that. That
Mhm.
that's a different story. And
Yeah.
you have a phrase in a post that you wrote, that I'm gonna read from here, and it says, "Controversial opinion: as a serious athlete and or coach to serious athlete, you should be educated on PEDs at least a little. And I think that's true, and I think that's really interesting. You just talked about that a little bit, but I would like if you can expand on that.
I just think that PEDs are so prevalent in fitness right now, even in just mainstream general population fitness. I think that you are doing a disservice to yourself and to your potential clients and people that you're educating if you don't know anything about how that stuff works. Because people are going to come asking about it. You at least want to have basic information to tell them, or they're going to go to somebody else who has crappier information. And then for yourself, like, if you're really serious, maybe eventually you decide you want to dabble. You need to be educated before you get there. Or maybe you start coaching clients. Maybe clients start coming to you who want to do PED protocols and you want to help them. You don't have to program their PED protocols for them, but at least being informed about it helps you make sense of the rest of the data because it's going to affect everything else. And it's just, to me, I view like bodybuilding or fitness as a whole, it's a culture.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have to accept all the main things that are in that culture. And whether people like it or not, whether people think it's wrong or right, PEDs are a very central part to bodybuilding culture. So I think that if you truly love the field of bodybuilding, the culture of bodybuilding, and it's really where you feel at home, I think that you should be kind of fascinated and want to learn with all the aspects of it. And I think that PEDs make it very interesting if you have a scientific approach to it, if you think like a scientist, like, and we can talk about this after, but originally my plan was to be a scientist. I wanted to be a research scientist and get my PhD and everything. So I've always thought like a scientist about this stuff because I don't buy into anything if I don't mechanistically understand how it works. It doesn't matter. You can tell me it works 100 times. If I don't understand how it works, I'm not going to do it because I have to understand the mechanism. And then I would like, okay, this makes sense to me. Now I can play with these variables and do what I want to do with it. So where was I going with that? Oh, so the scientific thing. So the way that it kind of speeds up your progress and speeds up how you can see results for things, it's like a scientific experiment. Like, the reason why exercise science, outside of, general population disease prevention stuff, the reason exercise science is such a struggling field to advance is because it's such a long, drawn out time frame that you need to see the smallest changes. Even in people who are newer to training, let alone people who've been training for a decade and are trying to really optimize things, there's never going to be research on those people. There's just not. And that's part of why I kind of parted ways with the academic side. But when you have somebody who, like me, is extremely locked in with everything and for years and has all these variables nailed, and then adds in something like PEDs, it accelerates everything so much that it's like contracting that amount of time that you need to see the responses. Everything is so predictable and everything responds so much more robustly that you can actually really determine what does what.
Yeah,
Because
what's
you can
moving the
see,
needle?
yeah, like you can see changes, like specific dramatic changes in a period of months that as a natural would have taken you years.
Yes.
So that kind of gives you the ability to kind of be a scientist with your own body or with your clients or whoever you're working with, and actually be able to run these case studies kind of with
Mhm.
yourself and learn even more about it. So that, I think that if anybody is really fascinated with how physiology works and how we can push physiology to be the best athlete that we can be, I think looking at athletes
Yes.
on PEDs and understanding how those work can only enhance that knowledge and can only make it even more interesting and give you even more insight. Because it's like, okay, this is what's going to happen in 2 years if I have a natural person, because I saw it happen in 6 months with this enhanced person. So I know that this works. Like, things aren't going to work different just because you're on drugs. The same things are going to work or not work. So it's
Yeah.
like you could test a nutrition protocol or a training protocol or whatever. If it has a significant change in you as a PED user in 6 months, it's going to have a significant change in a natural person too. It's just going to take longer. But you have found out this definitely works, you know?
I have to then thank you for that, because I'm coached by Alberto as well, so I'm sure he's making a lot of notes of your process, and
He's
that's
been very
because
excited.
he does
He's been
that.
super excited to be on board with it. He's like, everything is so much more predictable, and it's just a super exciting experiment that he gets to be a part of. That's how he views it. So
Yeah, because let's be honest, it's not common, and you I'm sure you know this as a coach. It's not common to have someone that's so disciplined, so focused, so obsessed again with all the process.
he tells me all the time I make his job easy. I'm like, I'm just doing what like this is just like
Yeah,
my natural way of living. Like I don't feel good if I'm not checking my boxes every day and knowing that I'm getting a little bit better and doing everything I'm supposed to do every day for this thing that I want more than anything. I don't feel good. It's like anything else. Like if you didn't do good at your job today, or you made less money, or your house is a mess, or you didn't take care of your kids as well as you should have, you feel like shit, right? Because it's really important to you. So this just it's just like my natural way of being. And like being a coach the last couple of years since I started coaching, like I mean, I already knew that I was kind of an outlier as far as like client adherence.
that's exactly
I
the word
knew that
that
I
I
was
was thinking. You
yeah, I
you
knew that I was an outlier, but
yeah.
like I guess I never really knew how much of an outlier. Like I knew that most people are not nearly as locked in or dedicated or follow the protocol, but I didn't really realize how many people claimed to be super disciplined and claim to want to do anything for their goals and are actually not even anywhere near disciplined.
Yeah, and you can be like so dedicated maybe when things are going well, or when you're prepping, but
Yeah.
being like that for 12 years.
Yeah.
And if we think about it, during those 12 years, for example, COVID happened, and I'm sure
Yeah.
you were training
Mhm.
when the lockdown with your, I don't know what you use, but I'm sure you
So
made
I
it.
used to, for the first few years of training, I actually trained at home. I didn't step foot in a gym ever in my life until about 5 years into training
Wow.
because I trained at home. I didn't like my husband's in the military. We got married in 2011. We didn't have no money. We had one car. Like I couldn't afford a gym membership. I could barely afford the secondhand weights that I bought on Craigslist because we were still using Craigslist at the time. In 2011. So I got like cheap weights on Craigslist. I got free stuff from like my uncle, who was the only health inclined person in my whole entire family and the only person who exercised at all. So he had weights at home and stuff. He gave me some of his old weights. I got some weights from my brother-in-law, and then I got some cheap stuff secondhand. And I just started training out of my 1 bedroom apartment in the bedroom. I didn't even have a squat rack. I would squat by putting a curl bar. I didn't have a straight bar. I had a curl bar that I got for free from my brother-in-law that I would put weights on. I'd put it on the bed and I'd squat down next to the bed, roll it onto my shoulders, and stand up and squat. I did that for years. And then eventually I did get a squat rack secondhand. And then eventually I got a really good deal on like an actual Olympic weight set. So I had the actual bar and like 200 pounds of weights. So I trained at home for years.
Without
And
nobody
then
watching.
yeah. So when it came to COVID time, it's just like, all right, I guess I'm training at home again. I still
Yeah.
have like a squat rack and a
Nothing
bench.
changed in your
I
reality.
mean, it did like it sucked because like by that time, because when I was training at home, I was doing more of the power building stuff. So most of my stuff was barbell stuff, and I also bought into the free weight snobbery that was happening around that time when everybody was saying that, oh, free weights are better than machines, like you only need free weights. So I only did free weight stuff. I only squatted, deadlifted, benched, anything I could do with a barbell or dumbbells at home was all I did because I thought that you didn't need anything else.
Mm.
So by 2020, I was fully into bodybuilding training, and everything was like machine based. Everything was very specific, very surgical and precise. So it kind of sucked going back to only having dumbbells and a barbell at home. And I had to do some wacky stuff that I really didn't want to do, like split squats or overhead press and shit like that.
I used
So,
to do BFR, Bulgarian split squats. I don't
oh,
know.
God,
How,
I
how
didn't have to
did,
do that.
how did I do that?
I didn't have to do that because I did have some weights at home, but but yeah, so like COVID was like, I mean, I'm not stopping. I only had to train at home for about a month, and then some of the places here, some of the gyms here and stuff started opening back up again. So I didn't have to train fully at home for very long, thankfully. But yeah, so that was only a very small speed bump, and I did not stop training whatsoever during COVID.
Yeah, that's interesting. That I could imagine that you didn't stop at all. But I didn't know you got started training in the gym like so late in your training career.
Yeah, but like I wasn't even nervous when I went in because it's like I had been in bodybuilding and like in the industry, at least on social media, and like watching it. And like I had seen 1.5 million vlogs in a gym before. Like I knew how gyms worked, I knew how machines worked. I just went in and started using stuff.
Yeah.
Like I kind of didn't understand how weight translated from thing to thing. Like I kind of thought, okay, I use 2 plates aside on a barbell when I'm doing calf raises at home. So that means I need to put 2 plates on the calf raise machine. No. So like a few things like that. But other than that, it was like, I know how gyms work. Like I've been following people who lift for long enough, and like I already knew how to train. So it was just a matter of a new environment and just getting used to doing it around people, which was kind of weird at first. But I was already comfortable with the training aspect. So I think I had that advantage over a lot of people who, especially women, who first go into the gym and they don't know anything and it's completely foreign to them.
And you said by well you're using PDs and you're pretty consistent. So you and Berto can know what really moves the needle and what doesn't. And right now we have like so many meta regressions and meta analysis about training volume and training to failure, um, muscle length and length and partials.
Mhm.
Um, have you mm, have you noticed any of that, like maybe trendy stuff is actually moving the needle further for you now that you can see faster, like in accelerated movie, the results of
I think
maybe some of those practices?
a lot of trendy stuff ends up being stuff that was already around. It just kind of goes through cycles. Like, I mean, I kind of like been around long enough that I have gotten to see a few things cycle around for the second time since I've been seeing it. And it's like people look at it too black and white and they'll kind of latch on to like one study or something and they'll get excited about it and just run with it. And it's like nothing should ever be decided by one study. One study never proves anything. One study should never change your thought on anything. Like that's not how it works in medicine.
Yeah,
Like we don't do health interventions and start using drugs after one study. That would be idiotic,
we all be
right?
there if that was the
It's
case.
like every the level of scientific illiteracy is just mortifying among the general public, and I think that there should be like a minimum level of scientific literacy before people take in information like that. I don't even think that people should be publishing studies to the general population because they don't know how to interpret it and they take it and just bastardize it, and so does the media because the media doesn't know how to interpret it. If you ever see new study shows, no, it didn't. The new study didn't show anything. The new study suggested a piece of data that is going to move forward with future studies and figure out what's going on. That is all any one study does. Like there has to be a scientific consensus. There has to be enough years and years of repeated studies that are similar with lots of people. And then there have to be multiple meta analysis done on those studies before you can even start to form a consensus or an opinion on something. And people don't get that. So they'll just see one study and they'll be like, oh, this is a thing. And beyond that, none of the studies are using subjects that are even remotely translatable to the people who are trying to use this information on social media. None of the studies are studying bodybuilders, none except for a few isolated, like, Eric Helms does work with bodybuilders, some people like that. Very, very isolated pockets of people. But the majority of exercise science is on kids, college students, 20-year-olds who are trained because they've been playing football for 6 months.
Yeah,
That's not us. You can't use that data for us. Like you can use certain mechanistic things and be like, oh, this is interesting that, the muscle responded this way to this. You take that information and put it into another study and flesh it out even more. Like the whole length and partial thing, it's like, yeah, because if you continue doing partials after, say, especially on back movements, any muscle that is there's a lot of range of motion and there's a lot of stress in the stretched position. So say the quads or the back muscles, anything where you usually fatigue in the stretch position first and you can't get to the shortened position. Logically, it does make sense that if you continue to do work, even if it's less work, you're doing more for the muscle. That just makes sense. So like people will take that and apply it to all muscles and they'll be like, oh, we need to do length and partials on everything. That's off. Like, no, there's some that it doesn't make sense on, like things that are the other way around where you usually fail in the shortened position. That's already a length and partial.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to failure on a chest press, you're already doing length and partials when you fail because that's where you fail. So
An
it just,
RDL, for example.
yeah. So like it's just a way of adding a little bit more quality, volume, and stress to that muscle when you still have a little less to give and it's not the full rep. I think that's the best application for length and partials is as an intensifier at the end of the set to take you past failure and give you a little bit more volume, especially for like lagging muscle groups, especially for people who aren't great at getting into that lengthened position, making them do some past failure partials. They're in the lengthened position. They can't escape.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe also to, like, many of those intensifiers also serve to people to learn to train really hard,
Yes, because
like not escape.
a lot of people think they're going to failure and they're not. It's like if you've never gone all the way to failure and bonus points done partials afterwards, you don't know that you've gone to failure because if you're doing partials, you have necessarily failed. Like
Yes.
I think people see my training sometimes and they think that I'm just going into partials and just choosing to do shorter reps and they'll like say that I'm not training hard. It's like you just watch me go to failure and then continue for 15 more seconds. But I'm not training hard because
And also like
they're used to
the men,
failure being like swinging weights around and screaming and slamming shit. Like that's not
that's
failure.
yeah, that's also a thing. I one thing that I've been using with my clients who are in that phase of learning how to truly train hard. What I'm doing now for some of them is um last set of leg extension. I want you to truly go to the point that you can't no longer do a complete rep and then keep going. But I don't want you to look like you're having like, like what's the name for this? But like,
It's like you're having a seizure.
yeah, exactly. Like you're having like seriously, you're like,
Yep.
oh, like
I
this.
tell my
Like,
clients too, I'm
keep
like,
keep poised.
yeah, I tell them it should look exactly the same. It should just get
Yeah,
slower because it's harder. Like the rest of your body should not get involved. If it does, you're done. And I don't
yeah,
even like I have like certain like levels of proficiency that I look for with my clients. Like I don't give people failure reps or even RPE 10 reps until I think that they deserve it. And when I say deserve it, I mean they have the skill to do it correctly and safely. If somebody doesn't have clean form yet, they haven't mastered form, they haven't mastered how to really lock in the reps and get everything out of it, I'm not going to have them go to failure. There's no
yeah,
point because they have to be able to do it right first before they take it all the way to the end. So I'll have clients who don't get failure training, don't get failure sets for a very long time. I'll have some that pretty immediately get some, people who have done bodybuilding for a long time. I'll have some that'll be like, okay, we're going to take your lateral raises to failure and put some partials on it. Or we're going to take your whatever, your leg extensions to failure and put some partials on it because that's you do this very well. You don't break form and you go intensely with quality. So you can push this further and get more out of it. But then other exercises that they're a little messier on, they haven't really mastered yet. It's okay, we're going to keep this a couple of reps away from failure until we get this perfect, and then you get to push it more. So there's levels of skill, and training to failure, I 100% will die on this hill, is a skill.
yes, definitely. And isn't it hard for you being like so yeah, so disciplined, so assertive, so sure of where you want things to go when you coach people and they say they want something, but their behaviors truly say the opposite thing. And maybe that's not as much of a problem. I think the problem comes when there's no communication,
Yeah.
communication with them. So how do you handle that, because I think that that's also a skill to have that as a coach to
Yeah,
really
100%. I mean, like, when I went into, like, I mean, like I said, I expected, most clients need help with adherence. Most people are not going to be 100% on it. Most people aren't going to prioritize it as much as I do. And that's okay. That just depends on whatever their goal is how much I expect of them. Like, if somebody is just a lifestyle client and they just want to improve, but it's not, they don't have lofty goals or anything, they just want to get better. I don't expect, the level of obsession and diligence as I do, but there's still like a certain level. Like, I'll give them more basic directives. I'll give them less that they have to do, less check boxes they have to tick every day, but it's still a minimum amount of discipline that you need. And when people fail to meet those, or they fail, the biggest thing is when they fail to communicate about failing to meet those, because I can deal with someone failing to meet expectations if they communicate it with me, because then I can adjust the expectations, or I can make a protocol different so that they can adhere to it better. But if they don't communicate at all, then you're not allowing me to actually do my job and help you. And you're wasting your own money and your own time and effort, because you're not giving me the opportunity to do the best work that I can. So now what I actually do, I just started doing this recently because I got this idea from another coach, is a client coach communication agreement. It's kind of like a contract that I do at the beginning of working with a client. And I just kind of typed it out one day, and it basically is just like, by initialing and signing this, you agree that you will keep an open flow of communication with me, even when you mess up, even when things go bad, even when you feel like you're a failure, when you're not adhering to the plan, when you have struggles, when something gets in the way, you still communicate with me, because that is the most important part of a coach-client relationship, is communicating when you are struggling. Because if you never struggle and you didn't have any issues, you wouldn't hire a coach. So it's like, what am I here for if not to help you through your struggles? And I hear a lot of clients will come to me with past experiences of coaches who were very punitive and acted like it was a parent-child relationship, and would like punish them or like bitch them out for not adhering or for sliding back or whatever. And it's like, first of all, that's above my pay grade. I'm not your mom. Like, I'm not here to be your mom. I'm not going to mother you. I'm not going to punish you or yell at you. Like, I'm not your boss. I'm your manager for all things fitness and nutrition and health. So when a problem comes up, my job is to say, okay, why did this problem come up? And what can we do to ameliorate that and then avoid it in the future? So I kind of make that really, really clear at the beginning of a relationship with a client, that I'm here to help you through when stuff messes up, but you have to be open with me and let me know, because I need that data from you. Because that's beyond the onboarding process. That's the majority of the work as a coach, is just responding. It's just responding to the feedback of the client and what their body is giving you. And if you're not giving me all that information, I don't have as much to work with. So it kind of makes me feel bad that I'm taking money from somebody who's giving me almost nothing to work with. And it's like, it's frustrating for me, because I want to be able to do my best work as a coach and have the best results for people. And it makes it hard if a client is not communicative and is not putting in at least enough effort on their side to allow me to do that for them.
And if you think about that, that makes, because people think, yeah, I need a coach, I'm gonna hire one, so the only thing that I need is money to pay someone. But maybe they don't think about what they have to give to for the process to truly function. And
Yeah.
if you don't know how to communicate, like in your daily life, if you all of the situations that you have when there's a conflict, for example, or a problem, you're one of those people that just shy away and doesn't confront things, you're probably gonna have a hard time with whatever coach that works like that. That's the way I think coaching should work, as well. As you said, it's about communicating and solving problems. But right now, with social media, and people can write on their bio on Instagram, I'm an online coach, and
Yeah.
that's so funny. But
And they'll go and get on stage and win one show, and all of a sudden they have 25 people lined up asking them for coaching. It's like, are you serious? Do you go to a healthy person and ask them to take over the role of your doctor? Just because somebody got a result themselves doesn't mean that they can do it for you, and doesn't mean that they're qualified to do it. It's like, and that's what sucks about the coaching industry and fitness right now being unregulated. Like, it's nice because it lowers the barrier of entry and it allows people who really, really want to be good coaches to grow their business independently. But then the downside to that is anybody can do it. So you have 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds who have been lifting for a year and their friends think they look good. And so they ask them to write a diet plan for something. And so they start advertising that they're a coach. And it's like, coaching is more than just giving somebody a diet plan and a workout. Like, and it's more than just personal training isn't coaching either. And a lot of people don't understand the difference between personal training and coaching. Like, there's a big difference between personal training and coaching, like, let alone a big difference between an actual coach and a fake coach. And it's like, there's so much of a human aspect and a psychology aspect. It's like, you really, to be a good coach, you get up in their business. It's like, if you're going to be a client of a good coach, that person is going to be in your business because they have to be in order to help you manage your goals and what you want to do. Like, it can't just be, here's your workout, here's your macros, send me a picture in 2 weeks. Like, that's not, it even blows my mind that there's coaches who don't take training videos and don't do like form coach. Like, even just that blows my mind, let alone the fact that there are 25-year-old kids who are just charging people $200 for like a training program and that's it, and they never talk to them. That's crazy. And it's like, and the fact that, and just the fact that people like me who have put in, 12 years of their own training and experience with themselves, 8 years in college and got a master's degree, wanted to go into science, got a CS, all these certifications, everything, and all this experience, and has been obsessed with it and has literally centered their entire life around this for over a decade. People like me are genuinely having to compete with 22-year-old Mason who has twice the clients I do because he just got up on stage last weekend. Like, I genuinely have to compete with that as a business, and that is pitiful.
For example, here in Mexico, I think that's everywhere, but it's funny for me when I see a Instagram profile of someone, a coach, and they all the same. They all look the same to me. Like, say, looking for, I help men from 18 to 35 to build their dream physique without being like a prisoner of the gym, or like things like that, like so specific.
And
But
that's like, I think
they all look the same. And sorry,
yeah.
but I think if I was someone that's just getting started in this and is looking to hire a coach, how do I decide which one to go with all where all look exactly the same and seem like they all do the same stuff?
Mhm.
But if I find someone, but that's the tricky thing, that to find someone like you,
Mhm.
it's harder because the algorithm is not gonna pop you first, which
Mhm.
should, which can be like a different conversation.
Right,
So
right.
I really like how your how you do your content, how the way you present yourself. I think that's, and I think that's making this conversation so easy,
Mhm.
at least for me,
Mhm.
because you're truly like you behave in social media. And as a client, I think that's really important,
Yeah.
because if a client and a coach don't have chemistry, if I don't like the way you talk, the way you behave, then even if you have all the knowledge and all the expertise and all the tools,
Mhm.
it's gonna look like we're talking different languages. But if you
Yeah.
behave yourself in the way that you truly are, then maybe you're not gonna have like 10,000 followers or more. No, you're not gonna have as much of engagement.
Mhm.
But the right people at the right time are gonna come to you. But I think that's something that many people that are getting into this industry right now, don't know, and I'm sure those people in 5 years or maybe less are not gonna be here.
Yeah. Yeah, and that connection thing is a big piece, because like you were saying before, like how do you tell like who's good when they all seem the same? If none of them stand out for you, that's how you know none of them are good for you.
Yeah.
Like somebody has to stand out to you. You have to connect with somebody. You have to know, okay, this is a person that I would vibe with. This is a person who I respect and trust and would want to work with. And then still, you would want to interview that person. You'd want to check out their current clients because they should be sharing things like that. You want to like, research that person for a long time. Don't just window shop and pick. Don't window shop coaches, and don't price shop either. Like I understand everybody has a budget, but don't just go with somebody who's the cheapest. Go with somebody you can afford, who is within the bubble of coaches that you connect with and you think that you could trust with your journey. Because there's so many of them out there. Like it can be hard to find depending on where you're spending your time on social media. But if you get into like how we were talking before, if you find your first few people that are good and you figure out they're good experts, they're trustworthy, and they have a good network around them, you'll find other ones from there, because all of us, like all the good coaches, are always promoting each other. Like we're always supporting each other, promoting each other's content. So you're going to find who the good coaches are once you first find the first couple of them. And until you find that, you haven't found the good coaches yet. But there's a lot of them out there, and you just have to, like, I think the first step is understanding what good coaching is and what not good coaching is, because most people, like the general public, doesn't know that good coaching is, what we do. It's the regular check-ins, it's the form feedback, it's the tracking all the data, it's the, everything that we do that isn't just macros and training. They don't know that. They literally don't know that exists. And so I think what we need to be talking about more is, hey, this is good coaching, this is not, to like get that out there and make people aware of the fact that if you're paying somebody $200 a month and they're just giving you a workout and a set of macros and saying, good job, keep it up every month, that's not a good coach, and you're wasting your money. Like it's not a good, like, and a lot of people just aren't aware of that. And that's understandable, because a lot of people aren't like into the industry like we are and know about it. But I think that's really the first step, is just increasing the awareness of, because coaching is still young, especially online coaching. And so it's not super mainstream that like good coaches do this. So I think that that's where it needs to start, is just awareness that this is what good coaching is. And these kids that are giving you, or even adult, like there's adults that do it, like people that are giving you a macro plan and not looking at your training, not collecting any data, like that's not real coaching.
Yeah, and there are some people that, like clients, that don't want that commitment. Like they are like, oh yeah, just send me the program and I'll do it and I'll see
And you
you.
know what I say to that? Chat GPT.
Yeah, yeah,
Chat
it's
GPT will spit that out for you for free, and it'll probably be pretty good.
yeah, and you could took people like that, but in reality, we all know that in the long run, it's not gonna go well. And probably more important than that, because there are genetic freaks that can do well with that, and maybe they don't need, or they don't think, because maybe they think they don't need it, but probably they would do better if they had it.
Because that's another thing I rant about all the time. It's like, why do you guys assume that you don't need a coach because you've been training for a few years and you're pretty good at it? So do you look down on Tom Brady for having a coach?
Yeah. That's
Or
I'm
any other of your favorite
gonna
professional
borrow
athletes?
that one.
Like, do you look down on Samson Dowda or Derek Lunsford or Sydney Gill? They all have coaches. You don't think you need a coach?
Yeah, but there's people like that, and what I was gonna say is that, yeah, maybe the client can do well enough for them, for their, again, the how far they want to take it, and that's okay. Anyone can decide how far they want to take it and how
Yeah.
much priority it is.
Yeah.
At least for me, as a coach, when I have had those people, those are the people that I really don't enjoy working with,
Mhm.
I don't feel satisfied
Yeah.
what I'm doing. In fact, I feel like I have so much more to give
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, right.
people,
It's
and
like
I
I
feel
want it,
like
like I
like
know I
like
can do
trapped.
really, really good work. I know I can do really good work. Give me something to do good work with, please.
Yeah, and I think that's really important when when you first get started as a coach. You need to work, I think, with everyone because you need
Yeah.
experience. But over
Yeah, and
time,
I mean, that's
getting
kind of
a
still
team.
the stage that I'm in. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, my ideal clientele would be all physique athletes. Like, I would want to coach other bodybuilders. But I understand that until I compete, I'm not going to get that respect from other competitors, right? Even though it's like, guys, I know I'm new here in coaching, but I'm not new here. Like, I've been in bodybuilding for a long time. I know how this shit works, right? But I understand that, like, it takes that for people to, it takes that social proof, right?
yeah,
So
to
until
belong
then,
to
it's like,
their circle.
yeah, yeah, and I'm like, I have actually my first client ever, one of my coworkers, and he's been bodybuilding for longer than I've been alive, and he's still my client. So I do have him, and I've had, on and off some other people, but most of my people are just people who, they're general population, but they still want to take it serious and want to actually put the work into it and make good changes. And as long as they want to put the work into it and make good changes, I will work with them. And like ultimately I do want to kind of move away from that and work with more high level people, but I understand that's going to take time. And so I'm just building up my clientele until then. And then those kind of wishy-washy people who don't want the full coaching commitment, like I get those at the gym for my personal training sessions. And
Yes.
I make more money from that actually because
Yeah,
personal training sessions are a lot more money per hour
yeah,
than if you figure out like two, three personal training sessions at my gym is more expensive than a full month of my coaching.
yes.
So, like, because the trainers at my gym, like, we all have a degree and a CSCS. Like, we're qualified. We are worth what we charge. So, I mean, I make better money from personal training sessions, but I don't do very much of it because I prioritize my online coaching because that's what I want to really build up. And honestly, the reason why I started training in person was that so I could have kind of a funnel for more online clients. So that if they wanted to move on to online later, I could move those on and I could have those as portable clients forever, right?
Yeah, and it's gonna be an easier transition because, for example, like reviewing the training footage, if you had them in person for a while and you learn and they learn from you,
Mhm.
you're gonna have an easier time doing those
Yeah.
form feedbacks, which is totally another topic. I don't know. Yesterday I had Sam doesn't know this, but yesterday I had um the manager of the gym that I work out in, which isn't. I wish it was like a gym, uh, like you said you work in. That's focused more in bodybuilding, but it's not. It's like a sports familiar club, and
Mhm.
they have a gym. It's good enough for me because it's close and but long story short, I got called from the manager on Monday because the secretary told me, the assistant, that he wanted to talk to me, and I was like, why? And my partner was like, oh, maybe he want to offer you like I don't know, like a deal, like being like an ambassador or something,
Mhm.
and I was like, I don't know, but the reality was that he told me, like, several people were uh, complaining about me recording my lifts at the gym, and that I use the equipment for quite a long time, and also that I don't share the stuff. And I was like crazy
Did
mad.
anybody ask you to share? I'm
No,
sure you would have shared if someone asked.
I have that gym face when I'm
Yeah.
working out,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
you have as well.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the reason no one approaches me. But I'm not gonna be like, "Hey, I'm done with my set. Does anyone want to
Yeah,
come?"
exactly.
Like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that. If someone
Yeah.
and that's maybe that's the reason. I don't remember the last time someone asked me to share. And I also go to like the hour I go is like this hour or earlier. So
Do they have a rule against
eh,
filming in your gym?
sorry.
Do they have a rule against filming in your gym?
No, and I told him that like that's not even like in the contract that I signed
Yeah.
because I
I'd be
paid
like, I film
annual
for my
member.
coach. Like, I'm filming
Yeah,
these for my coach. I have to film my exercises, you know? A
no,
lot
and
of people do that now. It like that
no,
just can't be a rule in gyms anymore. That's weird.
yeah, I told him first of all that's not in the contract.
Mhm.
Second, and he told me, yeah, but we can write it. And yeah, but I didn't sign that. So if you do that, then give me my money back, and
And then
we
it comes down to, okay, whose complaint is more valid? The people complaining about you filming or you complaining about not being able to film? Because neither of those are in the contract. So like, why are
yeah.
we prioritizing one complaint over the other here? We're all gym members who pay the same price.
Yeah, and also what I told you is like if you know anything about the sports, like any sport, I don't know how you can get better at something because it's a skill. Lifting is a skill
Yeah,
without having that data of what you did and how you can improve that. Like
exactly. Yeah.
I
Like I'll
record
have
myself most of the videos I take, they never go to Instagram.
Mhm.
They're in my phone because I want to double check in that. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
another brand.
yeah.
But people should be recording themselves if they were serious and they want to get better at this. I understand that maybe not all people are gonna be comfortable because I don't know, but that's something that you have to take into account. Again, if this is something that's important to you, you're gonna have to do some things that maybe are not okay with other people,
Yeah.
but you get to choose. If maybe you
Yeah.
can be like most of the people, but then you're gonna have a physique that's like most of the
Mhm.
people,
Mhm.
and maybe you don't want that.
Yeah, if you don't do anything that stands out, you're never gonna stand out.
Yeah.
And like I just tell people like look around you. Like you see like 18-year-old idiots filming the dumbest stuff all the time and you know it annoys you. Like they're all doing that. You think that you feel weird filming something that's like actually constructive to film? It's like, come on. Everybody else around you is doing embarrassing shit. You can film your sets like nobody is going to look at you, you know? Like you're actually doing it for a good reason. Like I have clients who will like be uncomfortable about filming themselves in the gym. And I'm just like, especially in my gym, it's like everybody films themselves. Like people are all they're worried about themselves or taking their stuff seriously. Like nobody is gonna think that you setting up your phone and filming your set in my gym is weird. Absolutely nobody. And it's like that's really just that person being uncomfortable with it because they've never done it before and they feel weird doing it in public. But it's like just think about all the dumb filming you see of people filming themselves in public for stupid stuff all the time. Like
Yeah.
this is not it's not weird anymore. And if anything, you're doing the least embarrassing thing. You know, like people do embarrassing, stupid shit around you in public all the time. Like you can't that's how I look at it. It's like I'm secondhand embarrassed by how other people appear in public and behave in public all the time. Like there's no way I'm gonna feel embarrassed by something that I'm doing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that was a funny thing. The funniest thing was that I was super mad, and it's been a while since I have trained being like this angry, but
Mhm.
it serves well. I had a great back session, in fact.
Nice.
But then my partner started asking each individual that was in the gym, "Hey, do you mind if we record ourselves? But because if it's uncomfortable to you, then maybe we can do it when you're not like around." Nobody said that doesn't. I don't like that. In fact, there were like two young boys that are like really serious. They go like all the time and they're like super focused on what they're doing. And one of them, I was laughing so hard because he said, "Oh no, in fact, I purposely try to be in front of the camera because if you become famous, then I can become famous as well."
Right.
We're like laughing so hard.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but there's always gonna be people that are not gonna like what you're doing and how
Yeah, one tip I always give people is I'm like, ask somebody to film it for you. Be like, hey, can you film this for me for my coach? Like, nobody is going to not respect somebody who is taking the time and then putting the thought into filming their exercises and sending it to their coach for feedback. Like, everybody's going to respect that.
yeah, yeah, that's a long rant in there. Well, Tanya, it's been an hour and a half. I don't know how it happened so fast.
I like
I
talking shop, so I can just talk forever and the time flies by.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, me too. But I really want to be respectful of your time and also San's time because I know she has probably stuff to do. But I'd really like to keep the door open for a second episode or chapter with you
yeah,
because
100%.
it's
Because
probably
like
one
I
of
know
the
we didn't even really get into like the academic journey and my time in college and kind of how I moved away from that. So we could even do something focused on like, you know, changing your career aspirations and, you know, academia versus industry and like opinions about that. Cause I've had my foot kind of firmly both. Not a lot of people have this and can say this. I've had my foot firmly in both the scientific academic side and the bro side the whole time.
yeah,
So I don't see it as two different sides, and most people do. I think
yes.
that both sides need each other and they both feed into each other. That's how science works.
And I think that's one of the probably many reasons why you and Berto do a great team because I have always seen Berto as kind of a bro as
Mhm.
well, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah,
the reason I like to work with him because
yeah,
he learns from everybody. Like I met
yeah. He's
Martina.
very good at that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, we definitely have several topics to go on. But before we end this recording, first, is there anything else that you would like to add? And the second one, here in the podcast, we have this tradition that we ask the guest to to give a recommendation about a book that you have read, and I know that maybe it's a hard question, but whatever pops in mind to you, if maybe if it isn't a book, maybe it can be like a movie, maybe it can be like whatever piece of content you say. If I would, if I could make everyone in the world, or at least in the fitness industry, come in touch with this piece of content, what would it be?
Oh boy, that's a big question. Hmm. I don't know if I want to go book or if I want to go like fitness related content.
You can go both. Let's
Hmm.
do both.
Well, book, I'm going to go completely off topic and I'm going to recommend a book about alien abductions.
That's great. It doesn't
when
have
it
to
comes
be fitness content.
when it comes to reading, I'm very, very, very particular and it's really niche stuff. Ever since I was a kid, I've been into sci-fi stuff and like alien stuff and stuff like that. It's called, I think people should start if they have never gotten into alien abductions, they've never really thought about it, they think it's all silly bullshit. Communion by Whitley Strieber.
Okay.
It is basically, it goes into detail about lots and lots of different alien abduction cases and hypnotic regressions that people go through to recall the things that happened to them. And the patterns that emerge in this will change the way you think about the world that you live in.
Oh,
Like, even if you've never even really thought about it that much, this will make you think a lot about what's going on. So I definitely recommend that. And then there's like a bunch of other books that you'll get suggested that you should definitely read after that as well. So Alien Abduction book, Communion by Whitley Strieber. Um, hmm. As far as content, I think just in general, kind of what we were saying before is like find somebody that has a good communication style that gets things across to you, makes you understand stuff, and points you to other resources. So like I know that 3DMJ was a great start for people like us who came up around that time. Oh God, sorry, who came up around that time and just kind of branch off from there. Like don't relegate yourself to only listening to science stuff or only listening to bro stuff. That dichotomy has only emerged in the last few years. I have been around not as long as a lot of my peers. Like a lot of my peers have been around 20, 30 years in the industry, but I've been around long enough to have been here before that was a dichotomy.
mhm.
And it shouldn't be a dichotomy. And I would just advise people when they're looking for content to learn, be wary of the ones who treat it like a dichotomy. Like look for the people like Berto who listens to both sides, learns from both sides, and is always continuously educating themselves and doesn't just turn their back on something because it doesn't agree with what they believe in. People in echo chambers, things like that. So rather than just like a specific source, I would just say like that's how you should go about it, because I don't think there's any one like piece of content or person or creator that you can like learn everything from. I just think that there's a lot that we should be listening to, and like they provide a good trail of other people related to them that you can learn a lot from.
Yeah, they complement each other, and no one has the full picture. No one,
Yeah,
no one's.
and like use your free time to learn. Like I've been like just I passively learn all the time still, and I always have. Like I constantly have a list of videos on my YouTube playlist that I listen to when I'm just around the house doing stuff, cooking food, doing whatever. I have a list of podcasts in my podcast addict and in my Spotify. I always have content loaded up, and it is almost always related to bodybuilding. I am constantly listening to people talk shop about what I'm into all day, every day. And like, you don't have to be like that if you're not that obsessed with it. But if you really want to learn about it, I think that's a little bit how you should be, is you should use times in your day where you can consume content like that just passively. Like think about how you learned about stuff you got obsessed with when you were a kid, right? Like that's how I always was. Like I would find something I was obsessed with, whether it be like fish tanks or reptiles or UFOs or whatever it is, and I would just go hard in the paint learning about it until I was literally an expert at age 10 or whatever it was. Whatever you did that with as a kid, when you just learn things for fun, that's the same way you learn anything else that you want to learn as an adult. That's how I approach school. That's how I approach anything I had to learn, is just constantly take in the information and get understanding of the concepts, because you can't just memorize and just listen to people. You have to understand it.
Yeah, and I think with all of this conversation, we have also proved a point that if something is truly your thing, there's not such thing as burning out. You don't hear to me like someone that's burned out for
Yeah.
listening and reading and watching bodybuilding, nutrition content,
No,
and
like,
to all those sites. And I feel
yeah.
like that. I'm still waiting for the time that I'm like, oh no, I don't want to know anything else about. I need vacations or holidays from this stuff. So
Yeah,
I
like
think
it literally, like it settles my mind down. It makes me happy. It helps me wind down to like watch a bodybuilding podcast or like watch somebody's vlog. You know, like I like listening to people who do the same stuff I do and are involved in the same stuff that I do, and I like learning about it and listening to people talk shop about it all the time. And it takes my mind off the things that actually are stressing me out, like other things in my life or like being overstimulated from other stuff. If I go and listen to a bodybuilding podcast, it just takes my mind off of it and like it grounds me back into the thing that I love and the community that I feel like I'm a part of. And like it literally feels like my identity, and it just kind of connects me back to that. So like whatever that is for you, whether it's bodybuilding or anything else that you feel like that for, I think you should make an intention to make that part of your day every single day.
I think that's a really good message to close this up. And last thing, I promise this is the last thing. Would you mind taking a screenshot of the three of us to the
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
but with the biceps again? I'm sorry that
Oh, the
okay.
Tanya bicep. Okay.
Okay, are we ready?
Yes.
Annie's
All
gonna
right.
take it, so she's gonna
Oh,
tell
she's gonna
you.
take it? You want me to take it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ready?
1, 2, 3. Cheese. Okay.
Perfect. Got it. I will be posting that.
Perfect.
And
Yeah.
do you guys post this on Instagram and stuff?
Yeah, we have. I will send you the Instagram of the podcast, and we're on YouTube, on Spotify as well. So we will make sure to keep you updated to when this is coming out. I think Sam would
Mhm.
know that better
Yeah.
than
And
I.
if you like to do collab posts, feel free to collab with me on Instagram, and I'll
Yeah,
definitely accept
Thank
that and
you.
have that up there. Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
And
yeah.
if anybody's looking for a good coach, I am Blunt Force Performance Consulting, and my Instagram is Blunt Force Tanya. And you will find in my link tree there is the information on all of my coaching. I also do individual consultations. So if you don't want to commit to full coaching, I'll do a one-off consultation. I do nutrition or training only if you only want that. And I also do in-person training at Body Evolution Gym if you're local to Columbus, Georgia, which is right next to Alabama.
We will make sure to put all of your where can people find you on the description, and yeah, I'm sure so many people are gonna take a lot of value from just knowing that you're here in the fitness industry and space. So thank you so much for taking time.
Especially as a female, I think we need more knowledgeable female voices that people actually respect, especially in bodybuilding for sure, because that's, as with any other male-dominated industry, that's a huge thing.
Yeah, but that's another topic that we can touch, but that's
yes, that can be a whole podcast, and I am down for that. But yeah, for sure. Like, I'm not just saying it. Invite me back anytime. I loved it.
Yeah, perfect. That we will take your word for that. So hope you have a great rest of the day. And again, when's your next show? Did you say next year? Your first show?
Yeah, so we are tentatively aiming for the Tri-City Classic, which will be the first week of April in Columbus, Georgia.
Okay.
So look out for my first prep, my warning shot prep, commencing at the end of this year, most likely.
I thought you were already in prep.
No, we're kind of doing the cut before the prep right now.
Okay.
Yeah, we're coming down a little bit. We're gonna get a little bit aggressive, kind of give me a little bit of that rough diet experience down there. Because I've been lean before, like back when I was not eating enough, but not with this level of muscle, and that's a totally different experience. So we're gonna cut down a little bit, kind of see what the prototype looks like, and then grow for a few more months, and then start a prep at the end of the year, most likely.
That's exciting. I'll make sure to follow your journey, and I'm sure Sam as well.
Yeah, my intention is not to be on the amateur stage for very long.
No, I'm sure you're gonna make that impression of people as you wrote. I think like where the heck this girl came from. I'm sure that's
I'm gonna pop out.
Yeah. Okay, so have a nice day, both of you. Thank you so much for the time, and we'll see you around.
Yeah, you as well. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you.